with Steve, Cat, Ryan, Amanda, and Eric, and the voice of NEW, Vince Berry. Turn up your speakers and hear them out. You can listen from your car, even on your couch. They too raw, who NXT? Handing out smackdowns, follow on IG. Plus, it's sponsored by Tag Me a Date. Go to YouTube and sub now for every update. It's all wrestling here. No safe space, now listen in. Time to hear from some of the greats. Shock the system.
The Undisputed Era has been deleted! Yeah!
They exploded.
Yes, the mega powers explode. Welcome to another edition of the War Report. My name is Vince Berry. I'll be your host for this evening. The War Report is brought to you by TagMeADate.com, the first and only dating site exclusively for fans of professional wrestling. We've got another big week of wrestling talk coming your way. We broadcast live every 7 p.m. Tuesdays on Eastern Time, live on Facebook and YouTube, Twitch and Periscope and all kinds of stuff. Boom.
You know what that means is coming.
What, that the Undisputed Era are going to go to the main roster and get ruined? Oh, okay, the Adam Cole Day.
Of course. If we're gonna have a version, I mean, it's got to have the.
You got to have the Adam Cole Day, yeah.
But we'll get into all that. I have some questions and feelings about what went down there. But yes, welcome to the War Report podcast live. Just the three of us this evening.
Yes, sir.
But as usual, there's enough to talk about.
Oh my God.
I think obviously we should start. Actually, well, we could start one of two ways. NXT Vengeance. Or should we go back and further hash out our conversation about this lunatic and Alexa Bliss?
Oh, God. Well, it seems like...
Because there have been some updates.
Yeah, I was going to say there's updates, but it doesn't seem like he's been arrested. Has he been arrested, Steve? Please give me some good news on this situation.
I wish I could.
I mean, the good news is Alexa Bliss appeared on television this week.
Well, now hold on. I mean, listen, she did appear. Yes, it was great, but I mean, it was a promo. It was pre-taped.
Right.
You know, I mean, who knows when that was actually done.
That's true.
So, you know, I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. I got my moment of bliss. So I was happy.
She appeared in more than one segment, which is better than her just not being on TV.
Well, yeah, I mean, that whole thing with the TVs on all the monitors and shit, that was awesome. But, you know, and I don't know, man, the stalker thing, you know, and it's not that it's funny by any means, but I think it was Eric who had said, you know, just wait, you know, he'll start going after, what's her face, Sonya Deville. And then I think not even 24 hours, it came out that he started saying shit to her now too. I mean, you know, it's really bothering me that this is still happening, that they have not been able to track this guy down. I mean, the only conclusion I can honestly come up with is that they're not taking it seriously, or they're not really looking into it, because nowadays with these computer geek police officers and IP addresses and all this, there is no fucking way you can't tell me that you haven't been able to track down and find this guy. Not to mention social media has shouted the guy out, his name, his full name, his, you know, like, what are we doing? I don't understand. This guy should be behind bars.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's one of those things where it's almost like they don't want to do anything because nothing's happened. But it's like he's making credible. I don't know if they're credible or not, but they seem credible.
The minute this motherfucker tweeted out, "The outside of your house is beautiful. I wonder what the inside looks like," that should be grounds to arrest the guy. Right. The guy obviously needs some help. He's obviously fucked up in the head, and he needs to be locked up in a hospital somewhere, and then he needs to go to prison.
Oh
know?
yeah, that's not even in question. Yeah,
But I cannot believe that this has now been one full week that we've been talking about it here on the show, and we're still not sitting here talking about they got the son of a bitch. So that bothers me. Like, where are we going wrong right now in our system? I don't know. I'm not a cop. I'm not. I don't know the rules and regulations and all this.
Right.
All I fucking know is that this guy is tweeting it out. Like it's. I don't know.
Right, because here's the thing. Like, if let's say nobody's been hurt, but you like hear a neighbor yelling at their wife and they're yelling back and forth or whatever, you call the cops. Cop comes over. If nobody's hurt, nobody's shot or stabbed, and nobody's been, beat up, the cop might just say, "Hey, listen, we've got a disturbance call from the neighbors. Keep the noise down, keep everything cool, and I won't come back. But if I hear anything else, I'm going to come back and you're going to be arrested." All they need to do is walk. If one police officer walked up to this guy's like, "Listen, we know who you are, know what you're doing. Calm it down, or we're going to come back." I feel like that would work. At least scare him a little bit. Don't make him feel like he has any sort of power in the situation, because that's really what it is now. He's given some sort of power in the situation because he's not being properly handled.
All they've done up to now is kick him off Twitter.
And you can just make another account.
Like, I'm sorry, this is not the kind of, in my opinion, this is not the kind of situation that you have to wait for him to do something to actually, like, listen, even if I don't know dick about law and they have absolutely, even these tweets, they have no evidence in their opinion to be able to arrest him, they should still be paying him a visit. And they should still be having a conversation. Now, listen, that also doesn't mean that has not happened. But nothing, as far as I've seen, nothing has been reported.
Right. Nothing constructive has happened yet.
What concerns me also is that look what that situation did to Sonya. She was off TV for a long time, dealing with the aftermath of that shit.
Right. And you don't want the same thing to happen to another female employee of the WWE.
Especially in the middle of a storyline like The Fiend, where she fits in so perfectly.
Well, not only the fact that she fits in so perfectly, but she's in the number one storyline in the company. Like, this is a big deal for her. Forget about the fact that it's something that we want as fans because we love the character, we love the whole story. At the end of the day, it's great for Lexi Kaufman, Alexa Bliss. This is a career-defining moment in her career because she's in a main event type of story, and she's I don't know this for a fact, but I'm sure if we went back since this character has become what it is, that she doesn't have the highest segment on each Raw since that. I mean, I would have to imagine within the top 2 every week. Yeah. So, it's a big deal, not to mention the merchandise and everything else. I mean, she's killing it right now. So it's a shame that this could, somewhat, hurt her in, not that she would be punished. I mean, obviously, that's not what I'm trying to say. It's nothing that she's doing is her fault. You know what I mean? It's just
but they could, as
the company has to move on. I mean,
and that's a concern because now you've seen Sonya have to go off television for this. You have Alexa Bliss, who was off only a week, but she was off television for this situation. At what point will other crazy people figure out if I stalk this person, they're going to take them off TV? They really do feel like they have some sort of power, and to an extent, they do have a sort of power where, like, they can if somebody really wanted to be an asshole, and, like, let's say they just didn't like Natalya. Not even that they were attracted to him and liked him. Let's say they just didn't like Natalya and they didn't want Natalya on TV. And they create a Twitter account and they fake stalker. I'm sitting outside your house and wherever the fuck, Canada, whatever. You and TJ look really cute right now, blah, blah, blah. And then they take her off TV. It doesn't even have to be at this point because the real threats have already happened. A fake threat could pull somebody off TV or pull them from production or tapings or change plans. Like, at least it was only 1 week with The Fiend, but imagine if she had to go off in the same way that Sonya did to deal with this situation, whether it's through court or whatever else. If Alexa Bliss was off TV for 3 or 4 weeks or 6 weeks or 6 months like Sonya was, instead of just a week, that seriously affects the rest of the programming. And some crazy people can just get out there and fuck with the program.
And even worse so is that this is fucking WrestleMania season.
Yes, yeah. That exacerbates it for sure.
And Alexa, I'd argue, is the best she's ever been right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably.
That is, we will 100% agree on that.
Character-wise,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, she's never been one that we shit on when it comes to the ring. She's not one of the best for sure. You know, she's not in-ring Charlotte caliber by any means.
She's always competent.
She's always consistent. Right. She's solid. She can sell. She can work. She can talk. And now this character, you put it all together, it's the perfect situation.
And moreover, like beyond the whole character-wise and momentum in wrestling, this is just a fucked up situation for her herself as a human being to deal with that shit. It's ridiculous.
100%. Her or any woman. Nobody should.
Anybody. Yeah.
No woman should ever have to deal. No men. Nobody should ever have to deal with something like this. It's absolutely ridiculous. The guy is obviously mentally fucked, and this guy needs to be dealt with. You know,
I agree.
You know, but I give a lot of props to social media because, like us, we were not alone when it came to tweets and posts and podcasts. Everybody was talking about it. Everyone was finding out who this guy was and putting his name out there. I mean, listen, this guy can't run forever. Eventually, somebody's going to know this asshole.
But we don't want another like Bret Hart Hall of Fame incident, like where that guy just came out of nowhere, you know.
And then he got the shit kicked out of him. But
still, and how much worse it could have been.
Yeah. Oh, that could have been because that guy, you don't know, that guy could have had a gun. He could have had a knife. Anytime somebody that you don't know encounters you in a physical altercation like that, you don't know if they're just coming at you with their bare hands. They could be carrying a weapon.
But from what we've seen in wrestling, almost any regular person that has jumped into a wrestling situation, they got their ass kicked.
It ends up really bad for them. That guy that tried to knock Eddie Guerrero off the ladder in a ladder match against Rob Van Dam, and then they both kicked the shit out of the guy. Mike Awesome against Vampiro.
I know there was a Triple H Austin match where somebody tried to attack Austin, and then Triple H wound up attacking the guy and beat the shit out of him.
And like the AEW, when Moxley was walking down, you know,
and that guy tried to get him.
Yeah. Listen, that's just.
I know Randy Savage has more than once kicked somebody's ass.
Listen, that's just an unwritten rule. You know, you get in, it's no holds barred. There's no rules. You can like seriously, you know, fuck you.
We'll show you how real it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Seriously.
All right, so we should kind of move it along a little bit. NXT had their pay-per-view, which unfortunately I did not get to watch yet. I obviously have an idea of what took place. The biggest takeaway I think we should start with is this it? Is this the end of the Undisputed Era? And I got to tell you, if it is, I'm really upset about it because I really wanted to see them have a run together on the main roster. You know, whether it be going after the Hurt Business or, you know, whatever, you know, any faction that's out there at the time. Now that's not to say that, you know, they can't get back together once they're all on the main roster, and maybe they're doing this because it's time and Adam Cole's moving up. You know, that's a possibility as well. I mean, not for nothing, if I'm Adam Cole and I see that guys like Dijak and fuck his name, Punisher Martinez.
Yes.
You know, he gets called up, and you know he's been on NXT a hell of a lot longer, and you know he's just as good, if not better, than both of those two. So, you know, maybe it's time that he's coming up.
See, that was his problem. Adam Cole's problem is that he's so good that they had him carry the brand for the last 3 or 4, 5 years. Even before the Undisputed Era, he was one of those guys that they were building the company around in terms of NXT. Maybe now that they've got Finn down there, they feel that Finn is a big enough superstar that they can break away Adam Cole and move up the main roster. As long as they don't like nickname him Shoe Polish and put a Mankind mask on him, and then he's part of fucking Retribution. Like I mean, it's hard.
I really hope they don't bring Cole up and change him. I mean,
I heard, yeah, I heard a very good description. Either yesterday or earlier today, and I usually don't like this guy Mike Sempervive from Figure 4 Online, from Wrestling Observer, etc. But he said it in the best way. He says that when somebody goes from NXT to Raw or SmackDown, it's not the same character. It's a spin-off. And that made a lot of sense to me. I was like, you're right, because the people that they're calling up, they're them, but they're not. They're just a little...
Well, you know what? But that is true for some.
Like,
but
it's not always
not
as extreme as
but
Retribution.
But that's not
as extreme.
But that's not true for all, because you have guys like Keith Lee, you have guys like Martinez who came up and they're all still the same character they were. Riddle is still the same guy he was. There are certain people, and then you get somebody like Dijakovic, and they put him in this bullshit Retribution.
But Lee, as soon as he got to the main roster, they started picking on things. Oh, you got to change your tights. You got to change your jacket. Change.
But they didn't change the gimmick, though. I mean, we're talking about two different things. I agree with you. I think that sucks. But they didn't change.
Right. But so the way I'm looking is like if you go to the main roster, it's not they're going to change. They don't necessarily change everything about you, but they're going to do something to put their own Bruce Pritchard, Vince McMahon spice on it. You know what I mean? Like they don't just usually don't take a character, unless it's the women. I've noticed they usually don't take a character wholesale and bring them to the main roster. Keith Lee, like you said, is a good example. Punchman Martinez is a good example of guys they do. And then on the other end, you've got all of the Retribution people who, by the way, congratulations to Keith Lee and Mia Yim on their engagement.
Yes, congratulations. That's awesome.
But yeah, so you're right. They don't always do it, but it's a nice perspective to take. Is that it's not exactly the same character. There's always going to be a little bit of difference. Regarding Undisputed Era, though, I agree with you, Steve. I think that there was... And I think the plan, based on my T-shirt theory, every time somebody comes out with a new T-shirt that's the wrong color for the brand that they're on, they're going to get traded to that brand. Undisputed Era kept coming out with red T-shirts. And I kept thinking,
I noticed that.
Like from more games on, yeah.
Because like sometimes you'll notice AJ Styles is the biggest offender of this one, is the most obvious. AJ's wearing blue when he's on SmackDown. He wears blue and black. And then one day you're like, why is he wearing this red and black T-shirt with his blue and black trunks? And then like 2 weeks later, he gets drafted to Raw. You're like, oh, he was changing brands and that T-shirt came out early. So like in my head, I'm like, this is a red T-shirt for when they go on Raw. Maybe that was a plan and they just changed it. Of course, plans change, pal. But I agree with you, Steve. I think the Undisputed Era, especially because you've got this Retribution faction that's going nowhere still and going nowhere fast. And you've got the Hurt Business, which is another faction. You've got a few factions around. Bring Undisputed Era in, and then you've got all these different factions for them to feud with. Because they already feuded with literally everybody in NXT.
Yeah.
I don't think, aside from maybe Zia Lee, there's nobody they haven't wrestled. They've wrestled everybody on the roster in NXT. They could take that whole group and pop them up. So, yeah, it's unfortunate if they're just going with Cole.
What's interesting, too, is you don't exactly know where this is going, because you look at Roderick Strong and the look on his face when that turn happened. He was almost like conflicted. And you also don't know what Bobby Fish is going to do when he comes back from injury.
Yeah. Speaking of injuries, I heard MVP last night, knee injury.
So apparently, MVP does officially have a knee injury. I don't know how bad, but he's definitely going to be a mouthpiece going forward for a while, because I think he's down to one leg.
Yeah, I just, when you said injury for Bobby Fish, just triggered my memory about MVP. And then Bobby Fish, I mean, I've known Bobby Fish a long time. Haven't seen him very recently, but I've known Bobby Fish for a while.
And also, but with if Cole is going up, it and as sad as I am to see the Undisputed Era go away as a faction, at least temporarily, they could push O'Reilly to the top now.
I think that's the plan now, is that he's going to be a single. He's proven himself, Kyle O'Reilly. I mean, people already knew this outside of WWE. He had to prove it within their system that he could be a potential singles star. And
again, I'm happy for him.
No, I think he
fucking A, man. I really wanted to see the Undisputed Era.
But it's the same thing. It's like WWE is never content with the if it's not broke, don't fix it thing. The fucking New Day is split up. This is the exact same situation. You can have guys in a faction that are singles wrestlers and not have them hate each other or have or not be affiliated with each other. It's real dumb.
Well, how many? Think about it like this: how many people did like Bobby Heenan manage, but they not always teamed up necessarily? Right. Jimmy Hart had multiple guys. Fuji had multiple guys. Yeah. Slick had multiple guys.
But even like the NWO, some guys tagged together. Some guys were singles guys. It just I don't know. I feel like I'm on Team Steve here with keeping the Undisputed Era together as a package.
Oh, absolutely.
Deal.
It's just sad, because I really think they could have done some big things. But
I'll tell you one thing, though. I did not see it coming.
Right, that's the thing.
That's a true story.
They did the little WWE copyright 2021 graphic at the bottom of the screen to make you think the show was going off the air, and then bang.
Yeah. I guess we should talk. I know, Steve, you said you haven't seen the show, but I did want to touch up on the show a little bit.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I'm all for it.
You open with the women's Dusty,
yeah,
classic. It was Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez against what was it? Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you noticed this, but Ember and Shotzi, when they came out, they had this like My Bloody Valentine kind of outfits, like jackets and shit on.
That's cool. I didn't notice that.
And then I wasn't sure what to think of the decision, because right now you got the tag, because the winners, they not only they get the Dusty Cup, but they get the shot at the women's tag titles in the future. Now, I thought with Shayna and Nia being the champs, I thought the faces would win, but it kind of makes more sense for Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you were looking at it in a bubble of just the tournament, they were the obvious, they were the choices that should go over. But you're absolutely right. When you put in the number one contender thing, it doesn't make sense that there's another heel team.
But then again, there's still Elimination Chamber and Fastlane before WrestleMania.
Long way to go. So it could change between then. We could have a turn where one team turns baby. I would assume the team that doesn't have Nia Jax on it is going to be the babyface team. Just, unless Nia teams with Rob Van Dam and their team is the whole effing show. We're still bringing Whole is not going away. It's still being brought up. I love that people do it.
I mean,
she walked out of Raw talk, I think, because R-Truth kept making jokes about the Whole.
Fantastic.
They might as well team her up with the Gorilla Glue girl.
Oh no! You don't glue your butthole shut.
Oh, yeah, that would be really bad.
But the match itself, the finals was a fantastic match because they're all great. What was it? The next match, I think it was the North America. It was Johnny Gargano against
Kushida.
Now, I thought that they could possibly give Kushida the win, but then again, if they're still feuding with Dexter Lumis and they got that coming up, then that's probably that's why they kept Gargano with the belt.
Yeah, it's so strange because
he kidnapped fucking Austin Theory on the way to the ring.
Yeah, so Austin Theory now, if you've been following his Twitter, they have in storyline, Sam Shaw, whatever his name is, Dexter Lumis, has taken over Austin Theory's Twitter account. And he's changed the profile picture to a creepy picture of Lumis. And then he's posting pictures of The Way with Johnny and Candice and Indy, and then Loomis's face photoshopped on top of Austin Theory's face, like he's part of the group instead. So there's something there where, yeah.
They definitely used like some kind of chloroform thing. I had Giant Gonzalez flashback.
I was just going to say they brought out the old Giant Gonzalez Harvey Whippleman rag. The thing I don't particularly, and this is, it's going to sound so hypocritical because my favorite matches of 2020 were tag team matches that involved the Young Bucks. But when I watch Johnny Gargano wrestle, the matches are too long and there are too many kickouts. And I know this, again, as somebody who watches more AEW than he does any other wrestling, for me to talk about kickouts and finishers is really hypocritical. But God, even watching him live, I watched Johnny
Gargano especially when it comes to the Young Bucks.
Okay, when Johnny Gargano wrestles live, I watched him wrestle Adam Cole in NXT 25. Fantastic match. But there was a point where I'm like, how many Panama Sunrises and super kicks and all this other horse shit? Can we just have a finish? And I was just getting there with that Kushida match because I knew the more kickouts there were, the chance of Kushida winning just kept getting slimmer and slimmer. And I was just like, oh, God. I can't imagine being Kushida coming over to the U.S. They don't use you that much. And, he puts on this great match. We're just going to have Johnny Gargano keep this title that he's had for the last, 3 years on and off. I don't know. I think they need fresh blood. But I see how it goes in with the storyline.
Yeah, they showcase Kushida a lot with the submissions and stuff like that. But and it's also sucks because I was hoping that he was gonna be what Kenta was supposed to be in NXT and WWE.
Yeah, and who was it? There's a NXT UK. First off, they signed Millie, and she's really good in the UK. And then they signed I'm gonna try and look it up. They signed a Japanese female wrestler.
Oh, Miko Satomura.
Yes, it was
she's
Miko
incredible.
Satomura. But that's what I'm saying. I was trying to remember because I have a bunch of Japanese names in my head because last night was the NXT women's first round all in Japan. So it was all Japanese, 8 Japanese competitors. Satomura's great. Millie, I forget her last name right now, but Millie teamed with Pete Dunne on the Indies, and they did a big brother little sister kind of thing where she was annoying and cute and whatever, and then he was kind of just annoyed at her existence, and it kind of worked. So if they bring her in as part of that group, she could be the whack, kind of the oddball character of the Dunn, Lorcan, Birch group. I don't know.
There was besides the Dusty Tag Team Classic for the men's. What was it? MSK, who were
MSK.
the Rascals in
in
Impact. They won the thing over the Grizzled Young Veterans, who were an awesome team. Match was great. They did this diving fucking outside suicide dive doomsday device thing, which was incredible.
And the Grizzled Young Veterans are always good. They're solid guys that you would think because they were in the company longer, the Grizzled Young Vets would win. But really,
they just brought this group right into the tournament, and you're not going to job them out
And that's the thing. They push, and they have obviously it's nice because sometimes they just sign these guys just to sign them. Congratulations, Christian Casanova, Blake Christian, and a bunch of others. WWE has signed 24 people to contracts this week, NXT and otherwise.
Also including fucking Eli Drake.
Yes, L.A. Knight.
I'm not fond of the name, but he's still the same character, which is great. He's so good on the mic.
Right.
And he's been doing the Yaz. He didn't really add Dummy yet, but I hope.
Yeah.
Put him and Bailey together, and then they'll both say Dummy or something, or Ding Dong or whatever. Then Taya.
Oh yes, Taya is also on there. Taya is signed to WWE now, and it's funny because they said she's specifically signed to NXT. I would have thought they'd bring her right up to interact with Miz and Morrison because, frankly, as we get into Raw for this last half hour, something they need something to spice that fucking group up, and I think Taya might be it. I don't know.
You know what? I feel like they need to be taken more seriously. Like they're just too.
Well,
goofy
that's the thing.
now.
It's so fucking goofy.
They're way
All right.
too goofy.
Let's finish. All right, NXT, very good tag match, and then the main event we talked about. Finn Balor beat Pete Dunne in a very good match, and then the whole Undisputed Era Fallout happened. So, if you haven't seen this show,
And the women's title too.
yes. Oh, the women's
Triple threat. Holy shit!
Oh, jeez, I almost forgot about that. Yeah, no,
Io
that was
Shirai
my
is
bad.
fucking crazy.
I know she retained, but
From
yeah,
the things, yeah, and that was actually a surprise.
Yes, I
they
definitely
could have
thought
gone,
someone
but
else was
honestly, I would be happy with any of the three winning.
Isn't that nice when you
I love
watch a wrestling match and you're okay with
whoever
all
wins.
the competitors winning? Sometimes you watch a match and you're just like, God damn, this fucking Baron Corbin. It's always Baron Corbin. It's either Baron Corbin or like Dolph Ziggler. It's like, come on.
It's like, I don't know. It's like the Sting Triple H match. Like everybody wanted Sting to win, and he didn't. But this was a match that, like, really, it was anyone's game. I am actually surprised Io retained, but I'm not sad about it. She's fucking nuts. She goes off the fucking. She climbed up the some kind of structure and leapt off, and then Martinez is great. Tony Storm is awesome. So could go any which way.
Definitely thought Io was going to not have the title by the end of this match, so they could move her up to Raw as well, but or SmackDown or whatever.
I mean, look, for all we know.
Well, Vince, going into it, were you thinking it was going to be Storm or was it going to be Martinez? Because I would have gone with Tony Storm, quite honestly.
Well, that's the thing. I would have gone with Tony Storm. Hometown bias aside, because I can't ever bet against Mercedes Martinez as a Connecticut native coming up in Waterbury, so I want her to win. But like looking at the match, I was like, this seems like one of those matches where Tony could pin Mercedes to get the belt off of Io, and then Tony could feud with Mercedes, and then Io could go up to a different brand.
I got to be honest with you. For me, and this is not because I necessarily think Mercedes is better than Tony or vice versa. I just think in terms of tenure, it was deserved to go to Storm and not Mercedes. Mercedes has only been there for 10 minutes compared to Tony Storm.
Right. But
Tony Storm's been working their ass off.
Yeah, but Mercedes Martinez worked her ass off for like 16 years to get to WWE, so you can't discount that work either. It was like Eric said, if anybody won that match, I was a happy camper because they're all tops, So that was it. It was only a 12-minute long match, so it was a sprint.
Do we know if there's going to be a takeover right before Mania, or if they're going to do like an NXT title match at Mania?
Yeah, I feel like they're not going to do, because Mania is two days again, or 2 nights rather.
Which I gotta tell you, I'm not happy about that either.
I really don't like that.
Yeah.
It's not like I don't love WrestleMania, but it should be one night. It's a special night. Like, it's just, it doesn't need to be. I would rather have an 8-hour show than have it.
I would rather not have an 8-hour show.
Well, right, that too. But you know what I'm saying.
We don't need to make WrestleMania into Hanukkah,
Could you imagine
8 crazy nights? No, that's way too much. 2 days is too much. But
the first WrestleMania, they had to do it in the afternoon and then clear it all out because there was a Rangers game later in the day. Yeah. Like we don't need a sprawl like NXT Saturday, WrestleMania Sunday. That's perfect. We don't need to split. Anyway, keep going.
And then WrestleMania 2, they had that weird like simulcast with 3 different locations, which they never ended up doing ever again
because it was horrible.
It was a bad idea. I couldn't imagine sitting in like Nassau Coliseum watching 2/3 of a pay-per-view on the screen.
Yeah, like each place got 4 matches. I'm like, what? Come
on. Yeah, but that's what like. I don't know. They're overthinking this. They're going, well, if one night's good, what about 2? And it's like, it's not the quantity. It's
sometimes
the
less is more.
I could buy a whole hell of a lot of McDoubles and McDonald's for $50, or I could go to a really nice steakhouse and get 1 steak for $50. Is it better to have 50 McDoubles, or is it better to have the 1 nice steak? I don't know. I feel like for WrestleMania, you want that steak. You don't want a whole bunch of McDoubles.
So I'm thinking if they since there's probably, since WrestleMania is 2 nights, they're probably not going to do a takeover right then.
Right.
So if they end up doing a NXT title match, honestly, just spitballing here, I could see a fatal 4-way between Finn Balor, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and fucking Karrion Kross. And then the next night on Raw or SmackDown or whatever, then Cole and or Cross both come up to the
Right,
roster.
because there's talk about moving him up.
When is
pretty
this
quickly as
happening?
well.
I don't know if it is, but
This is
but
Eric's
I'm just
prediction.
Wait, no, but I'm saying in your prediction, when is this happening?
At WrestleMania.
yeah. If there's no taker,
Yeah,
over,
see,
it would happen at WrestleMania.
my only hesitation to agreeing with that is because I have a feeling Karrion's going to be on the main roster before WrestleMania. Or that's not fair. Or maybe he'll make his appearance,
It's
at
like
WrestleMania.
it's just
or
because
something.
they're teasing him regaining the NXT title, but at the same time, I've been hearing rumblings of him going to the main roster. Like Orton put out that tweet, let's make some money, And Cross is a fuck. And you add Cross and Scarlett together, that's a star team right there.
Yeah, with Orton. Yeah.
100%.
That group, and then the match that they would have against each other as the blow-off match to put over Cross. But if you look at Randy Orton, you look at Karrion Kross, you're like, they could be like brothers or cousins or I don't know. There's a lot of similarities between the two.
I love that Cross has the crazy eyes. He can do that.
Him and Sam Shaw have I keep calling him Sam Shaw because I watched TNA all the time back in the day.
Right.
Dexter Loomis.
Oh,
both
Dexter
have the same.
Might have him beat on the crazy eyes, but
why they should have a crazy eyes off? Why don't they have a crazy eyes match? Speaking, Eric, of your 4-way, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I would like to say that if they do an NXT match that's a 4-way at WrestleMania, it should be a ladder match. That feels like the NXT WrestleMania tradition because there's so many memorable ladder matches.
Pinned also.
Right.
I would never be against a ladder match. I'll tell you that.
Moment there.
Yeah, because remember the New Orleans ladder match? NXT had some really good ladder matches and tables matches and all kinds of. Yeah. Oh, I saw the friggin' tag team ladder match at back at NXT 25 again. Private. I almost called them Private Party.
The Street Profits.
The Street Profits. Yes.
Guess what? The War Raiders.
It was the Street Profits, the Fired Sons. Oh no, they're still around, but they're definitely forgotten. And then it was 2 other teams. It was like a 3 or 4-way ladder match, and Private. I did it again. Street Profits won.
Hell, when the Street Profits first came out, I called them Crime Time for a while.
Well, because it's all kind of a milieu of the same kind of thing, but they're different. They're definitely. But I just remember the Street Profits. They did the cup thing before the match, and then when they won again, they passed. They had people behind the camera passing out cups, so everybody had cups. It was pretty cool. And the ladder match was fantastic. So I'm especially with the NXT guys who are on average younger, a little more athletic. They're not 40 years old with concussion and neck issues and everything else. They can do a ladder match. These other guys, Edge, no more ladder matches. Jeff Hardy, no more ladder matches. Matt Hardy, no more ladder. You know what I mean? Let the young guys do the ladder matches.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, I don't know because he'd probably
He'll still do it
to do some stupid shit.
But I think he should. But yeah, NXT. If you haven't seen the show and you're a fan of the NXT style as opposed to the main roster style, it's definitely worth you checking out.
Raw.
Yeah, go ahead.
Raw, Steve. Yeah. Shall we address the Lacey Evans thing?
How much of Raw did you mention?
So, I watched all of Raw today. Okay. So it's pretty fresh and embedded. Well, first I have to say, Ric Flair's reaction was fucking hilarious. But let's be honest. If anyone, number one, if anyone truly thinks that Ric Flair has sperm that are working at that age with what he's been through, are out of their fucking mind. Number
They're still
two,
swimming. Woo!
number two. On a serious note, congratulations to Lacey Evans as she
Always good
really
news.
is pregnant, even though it's now story, and now they are in a position where they have to change now this entire storyline because Lacey's obviously not going to be able to wrestle anymore for a while. So congratulations to her. That is great news. But I just think it's funny that they're trying to make it seem like Ric Flair's the dad. But his reaction I think was fantastic. Charlotte.
Wait a minute. Didn't they already do? I'm sorry. They did this 20 years ago in WCW, right?
Yes.
Oh my God,
dude, we always relive storylines, but the thing is,
Flair and Stacy Keibler.
That's right. Oh my God, I forgot about that.
We were talking about the Dawn Marie Al Wilson thing.
You brought that up yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, it's both of those.
There was that one too. So I mean,
It's like a mix of those.
Yeah,
but it's Ric Flair. Like Ric Flair, his all I can say is his reaction was just great. But
just wait until they reveal that Bad
Whatever.
Bunny is actually the dad.
Bad Bunny?
Could you imagine?
Fucking great. Our new 24/7 champion, by the way.
God, they'll put that belt.
He's been in the company for 10 minutes. He has a title, even though it's a title that doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah. Raw was silly overall.
I forgot what R-Truth said. Some funny nonsense, but he says I forgot what he said, but it was.
He said something about First of all, they've decided that Damian Priest's nickname is now DP.
Right.
Okay, thank you for laughing, Steve. For those of you not in the know, do not Google DP with your safe search turned off. You will find some things you did not intend to see. DP is a very dirty phrase that we cannot. Well, we probably could skip.
We could, but we're not going to.
I'll be honest. I didn't even know what that was.
Imagine you're eating French fries, but instead of eating them one at a time, you eat them 2 or 3 at a time. Anyway,
oh my God. Yeah. So and Charlie Caruso apparently is a fan.
I'm a fan. R-Truth goes. He says something along the lines, DP Bunny. Keep my baby warm for me, or something like that. He called the belt his baby. He's like, keep her warm for me. He said something weird. Yeah, he definitely said.
Well, he always says that about the belt that's his baby.
Right. So he's like, yeah, keep my baby warm, or take good care of my baby, I think is what he said. And then he's gonna go win it back one of these days, I'm sure. But going back to the Charlotte thing, Charlotte, Lacey, Rick. And somehow now we've got Peyton Royce involved, who's just like, please, dear God, put me back with the Iconics. Please. Yeah. She's just, she had to go out there and get the shit kicked out of her. But
yeah, she clearly accept Billy's resume,
But I mean, this poor girl, she goes out, it's supposed to be a tag team match. Oh, Lacey's pregnant, so we're going to have Peyton go in. And then Peyton just goes in and gets, I mean, she did a good job. She held her own, but you're in a handicap match, essentially.
Right.
Not given. I mean, wouldn't you just go, well, Peyton needs a tag team partner. Who could it be? And it's Billy Kay. I don't know.
Well, because for whatever reason, they don't want them together.
But they'll put them in other tag teams with other women.
Right. Well, I listen. You never heard me say it makes sense. I happen to agree. It's dumb. But it's just a prime example. They should have never been split up in the first place. I don't know why they felt the need to do it. Mm-hmm. But listen. Apparently, they always have their rhyme and reason.
Right now, speaking of all that and dumb, what are we going to do with this match where Lacey is supposedly going to challenge Asuka? Obviously, it's not happening. So, what kind of shenanigans? The pay-per-view is
Sunday.
It's this Sunday.
Holy
shit!
I feel like
they didn't even do enough. Like they didn't say. All right, now I totally forgot the pay-per-view was Sunday. It's Monday. This was your last show. This was your last Raw before the pay-per-view.
Yeah. That was take-home Raw.
Why don't they say, "Hey, Lacey's pregnant. She's out. We got to have a number one." They did a buy-in match or whatever. You had to win your way into the Elimination Chamber after Miz gave up his spot. Why don't we have another match to have a number one contender for Asuka?
Maybe that's going to be on the pre-show, and then they're going to have the match during the pay-per-view.
Well, I hope so.
Like maybe they could do a 4-way, like between.
It's just going to be Charlotte again, right?
Yeah, well,
I would imagine.
Like they could do a 4-way: Charlotte, Peyton, Nia, and Shayna. The winner gets Asuka in the pay-per-view, or do it 4 or 5-way with Asuka.
I have to ask another question about Raw.
At that point, why don't you just do a women's chamber match for the title?
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing that I was thinking of too. Just do a women's chamber match. You already have the cage set up. You just don't have any competitors. Just
and you have plenty of them.
You got
Yeah,
plenty
and
of
it could
women.
be just as easy. Find a 6th person for it.
Oh yeah, for sure. And speaking of Elimination Chamber, somebody finally figured out that the Miz has the briefcase and he didn't need to be in the Elimination Chamber match.
Like you pointed out in the last couple weeks.
And hey, by the way, who got inserted into the match? Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, I remember I said right away, I said, I'm pretty damn sure Vince called that one.
And what did I say was going to happen? So we're waiting. The pay-per-view is going to happen, and what? Ali is going to injure Kofi, and Ali's going to be in the match instead.
Oh, wow. Let's see if this goes down. Remember this, folks, because we will address this next week.
What if it happens? Because remember, they're talking about Kofi Mania 2.0. Oh, he's getting into the Elimination Chamber match and he shouldn't have.
You know what's interesting about that, though? Kofi was the one that Edge attacked to get into the chamber years ago. On the same night that he lost one title and won the next one.
Yeah, that was a weird one. Yeah, so Kofi tends to have a reputation of either being replaced or being the replacement, because Ali was legitimately supposed to be in that Elimination Chamber and suffered an injury and couldn't do it. It would be a nice symmetry to tie it together that, Kofi's going for another Kofi Mania run, and that at the same event that started Kofi Mania, Ali takes him out.
The only problem I see with making a women's chamber match is then that would make it 3 fucking Elimination Chamber matches. That's overkill to me.
There's a Raw one too, right? The Raw no, SmackDown women's title. No, just 2 men. How many Elimination Chamber matches are there?
I think there's a men's one for Raw and a men's one for SmackDown.
And no women. Okay.
Well, right, but so I'm saying if they did one for women, you think three of them is overkill with one of them being the women? I don't think so.
2 is overkill.
Yeah, but
I guess I kind of see that actually.
Yeah, I mean the Elimination Chamber is a special match. You shouldn't. It's but if you do
that's why I hated TNA's Lockdown. I hated Lockdown.
Oh, because it was all cage
matches. It renders it nothing.
You know, Dusty Rhodes said that as a joke, right? That whole pay-per-view was developed.
Really?
He was sitting backstage. They were having like a creative meeting, and Dixie Carter and Vince Russo, they're all there in the room with him, and they're like, "Oh, well, cage matches, they're really exciting." Blah blah blah. And Dusty's just kind of like, "Yeah, why don't we just make a pay-per-view that's all cage matches?" Sarcastically, and they all looked at him like he was a fucking genius, and they're like, "We're doing it."
Well, I mean, look, it is Dusty Rhodes, so
it is. I mean, the creator of War Games and lots of other match
Bunkhouse Stampede and all that.
There were some great matches, though. Gail Kim had a great cage match in there. I remember that.
I was at Lockdown.
Were you?
It was fantastic. Yeah, the one
that's awesome.
The one where Joe won the title from Angle.
Hey, listen, I don't mean to. You said Joe.
Yeah, Samoa Joe.
Any fucking updates, man? Is he not getting back in the ring? Like, I don't understand. Like, I appreciate him on commentary. I think he's great.
He's the best commentator they got right now.
Right.
I'm with you, but at the same time, like, what the fuck? I want to see Joe back in the ring. Like, what's going on?
Even if he was in a position like MVP, where he had a group of people and he wasn't necessarily wrestling in singles matches all the time, I would like to,
Is he not cleared?
That's
like I don't
know. We don't know.
What if Joe was the one that attacked Kofi and got himself in the match?
Hey, I wouldn't be opposed to that, but back years ago, Joe was wrestling Sting in like a Falls Count Anywhere match or something, and he did this jump. They were in the stands, and if you go to a stadium, it's all concrete. So he jumped down a set of concrete steps and landed really badly on, I believe it was his hip, on a concrete step that was like literally, he jumped basically a whole flight or two of stairs and then had a landing on his hip. And ever since then, he's wrestled slower. He's been all fucked up. And that's affected his health and his performance, which is why he wrestles a little slow. He wrestled a little slower in WWE after they signed him. Whether or not that's caught up to him or it's just age or injuries or whatever, because he kept going off he'd be wrestling really good. He'd wrestle like Brock Lesnar or Braun Strowman. He'd have a really good showing. You're like, why isn't this guy featured more? And then they go, oh, well, he tore his shoulder or he did this or that. And he's out for 6 weeks. And then he'd make a comeback and wrestle and he'd get injured again. So I don't know if they feel like he's in that Christian.
Yeah, so far, his most solid run was like his NXT run.
Yeah, definitely was. Because, like Christian until recently was in that area of like, we'll use you, but you can't wrestle. Maybe that's where Joe is right now. I haven't heard a thing about even the rumor of him wrestling again. And it's been over a year.
It's been way too fucking long. It's been way too fucking long.
I mean, shit. I wish Joe would have defeated Lesnar for the title.
Yeah.
I was rooting for him.
Joe not winning I know he won the NXT title, but Joe not winning a WWE championship or Universal Championship is really
like, remember that
well, listen, if he does come back, that doesn't necessarily mean that's not going to happen. I mean, we don't know that he's not getting back in the ring, and
right. I'm holding out hope for him.
We've been pleasantly surprised by AJ Styles, who's had 2 runs with the WWE title. One that lasted almost a year.
Yeah, he's
Vince
phenomenal.
McMahon officially went on record to say that he regrets not signing AJ a lot earlier.
Sooner, yeah.
Yeah, go figure.
That's well, you know what though? That's big coming from him though.
Yeah, to be able to get that, which is nice.
But at the same time, I also heard that Cena was one of the guys that said you don't need to hire those guys because we've got guys already.
Well, Cena was very protected. People don't realize that Cena was a backstage shark.
He had a lot of pull backstage. He had a lot of pull backstage.
Look at Nexus, prime example.
Nexus. Look at Kenny from the Spirit Squad. Kenny was Cena had a fling with Mickey James, and then Kenny started dating Mickey James, and then Kenny was fired. So, yeah. Then there was
nothing happened to Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah. Oh, there was the time where Mike Bennett was wrestling a tryout match, and he was sweating, so he rubbed the sweat off his face like this with his hand. And then Cena came up to him angry backstage, asking him why he copied his "You Can't See Me," and he was like, "Dude, I was just rubbing the sweat off my face. I wasn't doing that." And then Mike Bennett didn't get signed for like another 7 years.
Amazing.
This stuff is real. One more question.
And then they finally hired him, and they did nothing with him.
Did nothing with him, and then he's gone. He wrestled. He was scheduled to wrestle.
He's back home in Ring of Honor, isn't he?
Yeah, he's back with Ring of Honor now. He was signed to wrestle in Texas this weekend when the snow.
He's back with
Taven. He's back with Taven too. He wrestled in front of 14 people this weekend because the snowstorm canceled everything, but 14 people still showed up, and he was like, "Screw it, I'm here. Let's wrestle." So
That's
good on
awesome.
those guys for still. Obviously you'd want to wrestle in front of a packed house, but I mean, he flew from Boston or wherever he was to Texas. He couldn't go it's not like he could go back because the airports were shut down. So he's like, what the fuck am I going to do? I'm here.
It just shows you these are also guys that love the business.
Yeah.
These, to do that, you know what I mean? I mean, Mike Bennett is very underrated, unfortunately. And so is Taven, quite frankly. I've seen Taven work a lot of times, and not to mention he's just a great dude. But yeah, I don't know. But so with the Raw Chamber, I mean, how do we think everything's shaping up now? Because it's already this. We just had the Rumble. Like, they didn't even give us time to digest it. It's and when's the Fiend coming back? So Bliss had this.
Just had a takeover 2 days ago.
Right, and now Bliss just had this.
AEW's doing.
And now Bliss just had this return promo, and she's basically talking about
the pentagram promo.
What we do have tonight, though, is Young Rock.
Yes, Tuesday night, the debut of Young Rock on in probably 5 minutes.
But yeah, so when's I wonder what they're gonna do with Fiend, how they're gonna incorporate and bring him back. I mean,
already know, Steve.
he's coming back obviously at the pay-per-view, right? He's
Coming
gonna
back
show
at the Elimination Chamber. I just had a thought because all the pods are closed. What if Randy Orton's pod fills with creepy smoke, and then the Fiend either appears behind him or changes places with him, so then the Fiend is in the match. Some
That
spooky
would be
shit's gonna
amazing.
happen. I'm just saying, you already know Randy Orton's in the match, and they've already done the whole full arena full of Alexa Blisses, which that stalker must have come so hard when he saw 30 Alexa Blisses in front of him. But they sorry, but they did the whole arena, so there's already a precedent set that spooky shit's has been happening. So I feel like this Elimination Chamber, something spooky happens with Randy Orton and the Fiend and Alexa Bliss. She was
which is then going to set up the Fiend Randy Orton one more time at WrestleMania.
Oh God, no more. Can we just not have any bugs projected onto the ring?
And the Fiend is obviously, there's no way he loses this one.
He can't. There's no title on the line. He can't at this point. If he does, he might as well just go back to being.
But I told you he gets the WrestleMania payoff. I said that months ago. He's going to get the rest because we were saying he's always losing. He's going to get that Mania payoff.
I thought they were going to separate Orton and Fiend because they'd already done a WrestleMania match together, and that Orton was going in the direction of Edge, but that looks like that's not the case. Before we go, why does Drew? We went a whole hour without talking about the world champion. Just goes to show how important he is. Why does Drew keep going on Miz's talk show? Wouldn't you just stop going at one? Like it never turns out to be a constructive conversation.
Why does
How many times is Drew? Yeah, Drew is on Miz TV. I'm like, just say no, Drew. When he invites you, say no.
I'd be okay if I never had to see a fucking contract signing in the ring again.
Yeah, but like you just know that Miz, like
he's
Piper's
shit.
Pit.
That's what he does.
Right, but like even Piper's Pit, he would have bad guys on, and they would say bad guy things, and like they would do like that. This is just one half of Piper's Pit, where all he does is make fun of the baby faces. Like, buddy, we got to do something a little, because if you're Drew McIntyre and you've been invited on the show a dozen times and every time is the same, I would just say no. Be like, fuck your show. It's not even real talk. I would just, I'm whatever. So it's just funny to me that he's out there, and then they do the thing where Miz is like, oh yeah, by the way, we all just remembered I have the briefcase. I'm not in this match. So,
and I don't at this point. I don't think he's cashing in at Chamber either. Quite honestly.
I don't think Eric was saying July was that the expiration date? Was before the next Money in the Bank pay-per-view by July?
It's from when Miz won it from Otis.
Oh, well shit. That's a long ass time. He could hold that shit for a while. Yeah.
In my opinion, it's gonna have to expire by the next Money in the Bank. It's gotta happen before.
Two briefcases running around.
I mean, whatever.
How funny would it be though if they had that and like one guy cashed in and then got cashed in on by the other one right after?
Seriously.
I wouldn't put it past them.
All right. Well, that has brought us to the top of the hour.
Holy shit, we could have.
That went fast.
We could have gone for another hour with all the shit that was going on.
Sure.
So for those of you who are looking for other entertainment on a Tuesday night, we do have the debut of Young Rock. If you're interested in the fictionalized version of Rock's upbringing,
already have it set to record. I'm excited.
Yeah, they cast a Vince McMahon, they cast a Randy Savage, they cast an Andre the Giant.
They look pretty good. The Vince McMahon's a comedian that I know of, and he doesn't necessarily look like Vince, but he's got this. As long as here's the thing, you're never going to find somebody who looks exactly like him. So as long as they have the spirit of it, the voice, whatever. The Macho Man looks pretty good. Andre looks okay. You know what I mean? As long as they have the voice and they have the spirit of it. But that's on
tonight. His parents look great too.
They look just like him. The parents are whoever cast that was that's great. AEW Dark is on YouTube. If you didn't watch it last night, the AEW first round women's eliminator tournament from the Japanese side is on YouTube, and you get 4 matches, and those were all great. Lots of content to watch. Sammy Guevara quit the Inner Circle, so if you follow his YouTube channel, he's got a video out where he, amongst his weekly stuff, he talks about quitting the Inner Circle, and yeah, I mean, shit, there's so much going on. As we barrel forward into WrestleMania season here, we've got a pay-per-view on Sunday, so we'll recap that next Tuesday for you. If you have not already subscribed to one of our many channels and platforms, please do so. We're at Tag Me a Date is usually the username. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Periscope. Lots of stuff. Just put at Tag Me a Date, no spaces. You'll find it. Same thing on YouTube. If you search for just search for Tag Me a Date. You hit the button. You hit subscribe and hit the bell. You're locked in for when we go live or upload new videos. And if you prefer the audio version rather than the video version, you just wait until Wednesdays. That gets delivered right to your favorite podcast apps such as Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Once again, if you look for the War Report or Tag Me a Date, it should be up there. You subscribe, you get the audio version right onto your mobile device after it's uploaded via Ryan and all of his hard work. And again, we've noticed some great things the last couple months in terms of viewers and numbers. And we don't have a million viewers. We're not doing Raw numbers, Raw and SmackDown. That's not happening. But we are very happy with the community that we have. We would very much like more of your friends to join us and engage and listen to the program. So if you're listening, and I know you have been, because these numbers have steadily been going up, and we really appreciate that. If you have been listening and you're telling your friends, if they like wrestling, you like wrestling, share the podcast with them, spread the word. We've been doing this 6 years, going on 7 now. We're in our 7th year, and we'll celebrate our 7th year anniversary at the end of 2021. We have a lot of fun doing this, so please share it with your friends so we can continue doing it. And with all that being said, we'll be back next week for another edition of the War Report, 7 p.m. on Eastern Time, live streaming YouTube, Facebook, Periscope. Twitch is twitch.tv/War Report. We're all over the place. So just look for us, follow the social media, and you will get a link to our live stream next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.